Welcome to another OCD Recovery Instagram Live. I'm going to do questions today, questions and answers. I can't be bothered to do a particular topic because I haven't thought or planned a particular topic today. And as it's late, and reasonably late, I'm not going to do a very long Instagram live, but I thought what I'd do is I'd cover a couple of questions on here that people want to ask. So if you want to ask any specific questions, I'm going to answer them here in a question and answers format. Well, I'll get started a little bit whilst waiting for the questions to come up about OCD. And the main thing I was talking about today is you probably saw on various social medias, things like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram pages, is I was talking about fear of fear. Now, fear of fear. The problem with fear of fear is it's a very internal process. So if I'm scared of the sensation, that sensation will just go around in my head. And that sensation, it can feel hard to stop that. You can feel like if it's happening inside me, then how can I stop that thing? But it's not a case of that. It's a case of surrender. It's not as complicated as it sounds. People think, well, how can I stop it because it's instant like that? Well, it's not that. What it is, one second, let me just turn this WhatsApp off so that's not making too much noise. Because the nature of what I do, you get hundreds and hundreds of WhatsApp messages coming in all the time. So if you think of with the fear of fear response and how it starts, what you'll find is that you feel it and then you think, shit, what if I can't ever stop this and I'm stuck like this forever and ever? Well, what you want to do is you want to feel it. You want to leave it there. You want to live your life with it there. You do not want to... I've got red around my lips because I had a glass of wine earlier. I just realised that. So you don't want to try and stop that fear of fear. So you want to feel that fear, and you want to you want to leave it there. So you want to live your life bringing it for the ride, not trying to get rid of it. So that means doing everything with it there, living your life exactly as you would with it there, doing everything, whether your heart's beating, pounding out your chest when you're walking, whether your heart's pounding out of your chest when you're having sex, whether you've got a knot in your stomach, whether you've got a knot in your throat, whether you've got anything like that. You have got to live your life. Now, people often say, the fear is too much, I can't stand it. It's too terrifying. Well, that's because you are fueling it with the belief of, my life's ruined forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. That is so awful, that's so terrible. No wonder you're going to feel terrified. But it isn't. It would be just the same as, okay, you're feeling some anxiety right now. How scared are you right now of feeling that anxiety? You're probably not scared of it right now, but then you exaggerate it by going, what if this persists forever? My whole life's ruined. Of course, you're making it further and further and further irrational out of the box. So you want to pull it back to where you were. Okay, well, can I stand it right now for 15 minutes? Can I stand it right now for an hour? Can I stand it right now for 2 hours, 3 hours? And you'll find that it's exaggeration in your head. You're trying to internally rid yourself of it. You're very scared of it being there. And it's just making peace with it. All that's happened is if you were anxious, you weren't anxious when you were 10 years old where you were anxious about something. You weren't scared that it was any more than that, because what you've done is you've taken it out the box. You've said, it's completely out of my control. I'm completely locked in this. This is the worst thing it could possibly be. It could never get any worse. My life is bloody ruined right now. And that exaggeration is what's causing the problem. You realise when you're distracted, maybe you're watching this, or maybe you're going to a therapy session or whatever, and you're talking to your therapist and you think, shit, I haven't been that anxious in this session because you've been concentrating on what you were going to think, what you were going to say. So when we're distracted, we forget these things. But we think, oh, I'm terrified all my life, whatever. Even on my worst days, something might have come up. Say I follow the boxing a lot, and I might have been on Twitter and looked at a different fight coming up or something like that, and I thought, oh, I've been distracted for 10, 20 seconds, and then I haven't noticed it. So it's not there all the time, even in the worst case scenarios. Okay. I had chronic anxiety that was locked on one thought for 4 to 5 years. Then I had it on multiples, hundreds, thousands of thoughts. I mean, if you follow this Instagram, you'll see I talk in great depth about all the different OCD fears I had, as well as what other people have. So you can see how it moves around. Let's just go back to the beginning here, as I was starting as the questions, and now questions probably have come in. Why am I obsessing over, I can't deal with this pain? If I feel like this, I'd rather die. And how do I move through it? Sadie. Because you are obsessing over, you are first, the feeling you feel, you can stand it. You've stood it all this time in your life and you've still made it through. It's not a nice feeling. It feels very uncomfortable. And when we suddenly feel very immense pain, psychological sensations, our brains are very simplistic. They don't go, okay, I could take meds, I could take this, I could do that to get better. It just goes, die. It always looks for a quick way out. And that's not what we want. It's a thought. It's not action that we want to take. But it will do that, okay? So you want to be thinking about, like what I was saying, can I make it through the next couple of hours? How was it? Was it all right? Was I distracted a bit? Did I enjoy things enough? Did I do things? Don't concentrate too much and enjoy it. Did I make it through? Did I get through? Did I have a laugh? Did I, whatever. You know, we're too rigid usually on, I've got to be happy. I've got to have everything in life how I want it. And I've got to have this feeling gone now. I've had some pretty horrible anxiety in my life. Waking up 100 times a night, whole bed drenched in sweat, so that you'd wake up shivering because it was soaked. Heart palpitations like a machine gun going off, which were like this. Random. Used to think I would got developed AFib. It was like that for a long time. Then I would have acid reflux so bad, my throat closed up and was choking on food. I had anxiety caused such bad eczema that on my feet they cracked, then got infected, then I got a staph infection in the foot and I couldn't walk. And then I was on antibiotics. That was pretty horrible, that one. Various other staph infections due to eczema-related anxiety. So many things. When I look back, the culprit, anxiety, always there, chugging away in the background. So it is a case of, let's plug this in, because otherwise these Instagram lives die and then I lose the whole thing, which is always a bit annoying, especially for you guys watching it as well as me, because I try and save them and then I haven't got it. So one sec, let's put a light on here. I don't even know how this light works. So one sec, let's go back to these questions. I was put to sleep to have my child. I worry I was given the wrong child, even though I know in my heart and mind exactly like this, they're just a thought that sticks. Well, look, that is one of the most common themes I see all the time. What if someone switched my child at birth? That's a hugely common one. Now, with that, going to the worst case scenario is good. Say you did bring up the wrong child. You'd be bringing up the wrong child from birth, right? From like it was your own. You'd love it just like your own, the same as someone adopted, but right from the beginning. So, you know, in terms of life, in terms of your own quality of life and theirs, very little different impact on your life whatsoever if it was a different kid. So even in the worst case scenario, I mean, if that was my situation, all right, it wouldn't be ideal, the genes didn't match up and you'd like to have your own kid, but I can't really see it being a huge problem. Let's have a look here. That's how I feel at the minute. I think the new meds are making it worse. Yeah, new meds will make it worse in the short term. Anxiety will increase in the short term, but give it time for the meds to play out, and things will level out. Okay. Why do I feel zero anxiety but the thoughts are still there? That does not indicate it's real. I had zero anxiety for large periods of time and intrusive thoughts. Do not get too involved in that. It's all part of the OCD process. I sometimes throw up because of the fear. Very, very common. Obviously, the stomach and the nerves in the stomach are sensitive to anxiety, so that will affect stomachs, cause that sort of retching feeling and throwing up sensations. I can't stand being on my own at the moment. So scared. Yeah, being on your own can be difficult when you've got anxiety. You can feel alone. It can feel worse. It's good to have people around you, but then you don't want it to become too compulsive that you've got to feel like you've got people around you all day long. You need to build up out of that situation. The only relationship at times, OCD guys, I have is anxiety. You feel that at times. Yeah. Am I supposed to just distract myself from thoughts, or do I just accept by saying, okay, yeah, I should kill myself? I don't understand. Wait a second. What is your specific fear here? Cover up for the rain. If you want to share your fear or a bit more of this situation, because I don't really understand the context of it. Distracting yourself, yeah, is an important part of things. It's not running. We don't want to be doing it long term. Okay, I've got to rush away, distract myself, keep myself away from anxiety. You're bringing the anxiety for the ride, but you don't want to just sit there trying to fix everything. You want to live your life. I get sleep paralysis a lot and had a dream that feels so real and I can't get past it. I feel so hopeless. What was the problem with the dream? What happened in the dream that was so scary? It's like my brain tells me I should kill myself, but I don't want to. Well, so that is suicide OCD. I imagine is that the case? Is that what you found? Yeah, I'm petrified that I'd actually hurt myself. Yeah, well, suicide OCD is the fear of killing yourself, and it's one topic that. Because you feel like, what if I snap and suddenly kill myself? Then you get scared of depression because you believe that will link to suicide and so on and so on. I will cover that in a separate topic on Instagram here, covering suicide OCD, because there's quite a lot to talk about and I have to be quite specific in how I get into it, because obviously it can easily get confusing for people who don't understand it. So I want to tackle that on another day. We're covering all the points there. Can you talk about POCD and how to deal with it? Can't accept the sorts. I absolutely will, but I will be doing that in another Instagram live, because of the nature of that topic as well, similar to suicide OCD. I think so. My theme changes from that to religious OCD and relationship. Dreams usually mean nothing. Yeah, dreams are just like clouds. Not like clouds. Like the dreams are just like thoughts that pass through your head. And with dreams, you what you're doing is you're anchoring it, you're locking in on it like it's got some kind of meaning. That's why we don't want to get too lost in old Freudian ways of looking at things and going into the past and working out dreams and so on. But dreams are just leave them there as thoughts passing by. They have no reference, but sometimes they can get stuck. Sometimes they can get locked on. I used to have harm OCD dreams where I used to kill or torture someone, say, for example, and then I would be very scared that I couldn't unlock from that. So with the unconditional self-acceptance, that got underneath it. That really helped release that. I find it too difficult to be kind to myself. How do I start doing this, and why am I like this? Sadie, in relation to being hard on yourself, what benefit has being so hard on yourself that you hammer yourself down, I'm no good, I'm rotten, that hard? What benefits that bring into your life? What benefits it bring? Doesn't bring any benefit. It puts you down too hard. One behaviour can always change. Say I was really rude and I told everyone to fuck off right now, trying to pick something that I could think of that wouldn't be very nice. Say I said that would be one behaviour I could always change and go, God, why did I do that? I must change. I mustn't be like that, or something like that. Say I stabbed somebody. I wouldn't, I mean, that taking a more extreme scenario, but unconditional self-acceptance gets under anything. I could always change and set up, say, for example, victims of stabbing charity and go on to help people. So there's many variations that I could change in my life. I wouldn't be a sort of, my whole being wouldn't be someone who stabs people. It would be a behavior at a point in time that I could always change. So it wouldn't be me in totality. It would be one ever-changing part of the self, an ever-changing, highly complicated process. I have HOCD, made out with a guy I like and enjoyed it, but didn't want sex because I usually save that for relationships and don't like casual sex. But of course, HOCD ran wild. What should I do? I have made out with a guy I like and enjoyed it, but didn't want to have sex. How does the HOCD relate to the wanting to have sex part? Just fill me in on that bit. Okay, cool. Keep sending these questions across, guys, because this is a question and answers Instagram Live, and I'm gonna go through all of these and get these done. So keep sending those across. If you haven't already, please join the Facebook group. It's a very fun group. People ask, ask anything in there, and it's a closed group, and it's a group that you can just join. Just send to join on the Facebook group, and it's a place where it's done properly. No reassurance, properly getting under OCD. And it's a community that I'm trying to build to be the opposite of so many of the crap communities I've seen for so many years, where it's reassurance going on all left, right, and centre, and not the most beneficial advice to getting better. So please join the Facebook group. It's good fun in there. The WhatsApp groups that I provide are for people that are coming to me for one-to-one coaching or group coaching, and the one-to-one group and the WhatsApp groups, they're a similar format, but they are much more sort of specialized in the sense of small group of people in each WhatsApp group that I run, and then it's got direct coaching from me and moderation from me, and it's all people that are on the path to recovery with me, so it's slightly different. Most of the time in there, it's a lot of fun, a lot of piss taking out of me and other people. So a lot of it's a good laugh in there. You've got to have a laugh with OCD. OCD is so damn serious that we've all been suffering in the times in our life that it's very important to have a laugh. And that's what all those groups are about. And the same as the Facebook group. I try and encourage everyone to have fun and try and enjoy things. I can't stand when therapy is so serious that people are, hold themselves like a robot and there's no interaction. That's certainly not what my groups are about. They're a real laugh and a great community for that. Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, see, that's what Sadie's just said. Piss taken out of me, mainly. Yeah, that is true. I do get it in there. Now, let's have a look. Also, is it an obligation to be diagnosed? I've suffered with what I think is Puro, and my therapist thinks that too, but psychiatrists won't diagnose me. They always say it's GAD. Well, I tell you, first thing is GAD is one of the most misdiagnosed disorders of all. I had GAD, and it could still flare up at times. What is GAD? It's like a deeper feeling of fear that sort of goes on in its own cycle underneath, with a lot of physical symptoms and so on. Therapists misdiagnose it all day long. When you've got anxiety that's sort of just general anxiety, I'm worried about my finances, worried about my family, they go, right, general anxiety. That ain't general anxiety. That's just anxiety about different things. Generalized anxiety disorder is very different. So that's misdiagnosed. Now your question was, do you need a diagnosis for OCD? It's always helpful to have an OCD diagnosis, but it's pretty obvious that someone's got OCD if they've got all those concerns in that lot cycle. It's pretty apparent most of the time. So a lot of people don't get a diagnosis, but you can if you want to. Things that get misdiagnosed all day long, depression gets misdiagnosed. It's usually not clinical depression. It's usually someone is fed up with being stuck with OCD, and that's made them feel so low, and anxiety symptoms can mimic what depressive symptoms feel like. That's common. Bipolar's misdiagnosed regularly because people describe how they feel with OCD like 1 minute I'm fine, 1 minute I'm down, 1 minute I'm up, 1 minute I'm down, which is the nature of OCD, so people can very much give those kind of symptoms in and can feel like that. With magical thinking, I realize things that have feared me the last few years are just made up in my head, but feel like it's wired in the brain and hard to break the habit. Yeah, it's going to take a little while to break all these habits. You've had them for a while. It's going to take a little while to change these beliefs. It's not. People often say, "Oh, it's so deeply ingrained, I'll never get better." That's not true. It's you've got those you've got those beliefs, and you're going around in that track, and you'll be able to break those down by disputing those irrational beliefs and changing those, and that's what we do, and that's what we focus on. So it will take a little bit of time. I'm up and down in 5 seconds, can feel very scary. Sadie, yeah, absolutely. With OCD, it can be up and down at any time. Some minutes you can wake up feeling bad, feel okay the next bit, another bit good, another bit bad, new thought comes in, another thought goes, hundreds of thoughts a day, anything. Did you have emotional burnout during your OCD recovery? I feel like I have emotional burnout doing what I do for a living all the time, in the sense that I work a huge number of hours, and the people I'm working with and the situations that present themselves in front of me are very full on. When you're dealing with people that are very ill, maybe calling me from a hospital or from somewhere in the world, or calling me from not left the house in 20 years, or different scenarios, it's pretty full on. So you do, I mean, I'm pretty balanced. I don't really go too up and down with it, but I'm saying it's still anyone who does anything sort of like what I do, or anything that puts a lot of hours in, you will feel that. So there's no problem in a bit of an emotional up and down. We get too scared of those sensations. In my own journey, what was it? Did I have burnout? Oh yeah, I felt exhausted. Sometimes never wanted to have the energy to even get out of bed. It felt like for a long time. It was very, very common, but realistically, even when we felt burnt out, it's mainly in our mind. A lot of the time when if I then took someone who's burnt out, and I often do, if I take someone who's burnt out and I say, right, well, you feel completely burnt out, you've got no energy, can't do anything, it even hurts to walk or to do anything, palpitations everywhere. I say, right, I often say to them, I say, well, is there anything right now that you're looking forward to that you haven't done? Now, this isn't someone who's agoraphobic, and this is someone that could do these things. They're just going through a burnout position. So, well, what would you like to do? And they say, oh, well, I'd really like to go out with my boyfriend for dinner or whatever. And I say, well, why don't you go to that thing? And then they do, even though they're completely burnt out and they're scared of getting more worn out. And then usually, 99%, 90% of the time, they say, well, when I was distracted or when I was into it, I had good fun, and that becomes so apparent. And someone who really highlighted that was Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins, I remember many years ago watching a thing where he was saying that he'd get called up and someone would be in the NFL, burnt out, completely overtrained, completely exhausted, completely overwhelmed, and he'd get called straight in, speak to the guy, and the guy said he's got no energy, he feels complete fatigue, and then through changing his mindset, changing his perspective and what was in front of him, he said he felt alive, he had energy, he wanted to go for it, he was more determined than ever. That's the difference. Change in perspective. When you change that perspective and you really see it and you've really got it and you want it and you can feel that drives you. I mean, I can definitely feel that in what I do, in the sense that I work huge number of hours, 6 days a week, often 7, and the thing that pushes me is my goal, which is to change OCD. I want to change OCD worldwide, so I know how long I expect to live in terms of my life expectancy and how quick I want to make those changes. So it's pretty full on, but I'm really driven by what I'm trying to achieve. So it is all about perspective in your mind, getting that right, and that then pushes you along to make those steps. Feel scared I will never get unconditional self-acceptance. You'll have, when it's fear of fear, you'll be scared of everything. What if I'm the only person meds don't work for? What if I never get better? What if I'm stuck like this? What if I've got something else? Those will all be versions of that. I was prescribed Paxil to help with thoughts, but I'm afraid of taking medicine. Is it needed? Well, medicine helps take the edge off, okay? And OCD sufferers often have a fear of getting out of control, being out of control, having side effects. That's probably a problem there, It's no, if your doctor recommended it, it's pretty low risk, something like Paxil. and it could be a game changer for you in terms of taking the edge off. So I would move towards it as an exposure. It's always good. I used to have that about taking any medicine, wanting to avoid everything, to stay out of to always be in control. But we've sometimes got to move into that uncomfortable position. And then we realise that actually in that discomfort, there's nothing to be scared of. We get used to the uncertainty, and it makes us more and more confident each time. Why do I always get a jittery feeling always when there's something I want to do? Because OCD knows you want it, and if OCD or anxiety knows you want something, then it goes, what if it goes wrong? What if I don't get it? What if something goes wrong here? That's what happens. Right, any more questions? Keep them coming. I hate myself and want to die. How can I change this? Give me some reasons right now why you hate yourself. Post them on here. Tell me what, if you want to share them. You don't have to, obviously. Give me some reasons why you hate yourself, and let's discuss and see if they're genuine enough reasons, because 100% of the time they're not. Let's have a look. What's the difference between fear and anxiety? Well, fear is anxiety. You're scared of something. If there's a spider there, what am I going to feel? Oh, God, I feel that. That's anxiety. Fear and anxiety is the same thing. You don't really need to... It's just a way of describing it. Rob, doing a small compulsion also when you have recovered, does it mean you are slipping back? You're scared of doing a compulsion. Little compulsions now and again. Be very strict with them, like if you're in a rehab for OCD. But if you slip up now and again, get back on the bike you've fallen off. Like me, literally, when I fell off and broke my bloody arm a couple of weeks ago. Is the fear of being evil a common theme? I don't answer, is that a common theme? Because those are always reassurance questions. Being evil is, of course, one of the things that I myself suffered from, not from a position of comparison and for reassurance reasons. But that's one where evil is a concept that humans invented. We want to change that to sort of not sociable behaviour amongst humans, not helpful behaviour amongst humans. Evil is almost a sort of religious term, as in possessed by pure badness, makes no rational or logical sense at all. Okay, done some terrible things. Back to that question of I hate myself and want to kill myself. Done by Matt Carr here. Done some terrible things. Think I killed someone. Think I hurt children. Think I hurt friends and family. Very, very common OCD fears. Think I hurt a kid. Think I hurt somebody. Think I killed someone. There's can't see anything there that why you hate you. I can see all OCD things there. Now, let's point out, had any of these actually been real in real life, there would still be no reason to hate you. You wouldn't dislike your behaviours, even if this is real. Yes, even if this was real. Even if you had killed someone, you would dislike your behaviours. Strongly dislike them. Wrong behaviours. But you do not write off the whole human in totality, because the human's behaviours can change. You are not one behaviour. You're not, if you commit a murder, you're not a murderer. You're a human who has committed a murder at one point in time. It's a big difference. And that is what we get into in unconditional self-acceptance. Breaking down and showing you rationally that it doesn't make sense. That is the core of your problem there. Why can't I sleep no matter how exhausted I am? When I fall asleep, it's not for long and I have so many dreams. Okay, tell me, are you scared of not falling asleep? Before I got OCD, I always saved sex for committed relationships. Not fan of casual sex. When I like a guy and hold off on sex now, my OCD says I'm gay. Instead of just saying it's okay to wait to have sex. Again, here, we would want to move into, even if you were gay, tell me why it would be so terrifying. So we're doing a bit of coaching here in this Instagram Live today, having a look. I think that's actually quite a good format if you send me questions. I mean, look, this isn't a substitute for coaching, and this is just a Q&A. I can't tell about your background. I haven't weighed up all different things. So this is just some Instagram live coaching, but by no means is it factoring in anything more than that. Let's have a look here. Because it's very important whenever working with people, I know about your history, I know about what's going on with your doctor and your medical situations, about your OCD, anxiety, depression, whether you're suicidal or not, all different things that are important to know when working with people. So I can't do that in coaching, but I can give you some rough ideas of where you're stuck. Is going back on medication like you lost a winning battle? Wafrid, you're asking me some questions that are a bit reassurancy from you today, I've got to tell you, because you should know the answer to some of these, because you've been with me and you know what kinds of things I'm going to say. Would I ever say anything as like losing a battle? Would I say that? Square one or any of that? It's that nonsense. But then I feel I should be punished for murder. Well, what? But this is back to Matt Carr's question about thinking he's a bad person. Well, if you'd committed a murder, why do you deserve to be endlessly tortured or punished for murder? Why? Where does the punishment come in? I mean, unconditional self-acceptance is about unconditional self-acceptance. It's not how to sort of punish yourself endlessly. It's about learning to make peace and see that even if you made a big mistake, even as such as a murder, you can be at peace with that, and that's very, very important. Now, because of murder and some of these themes are complex themes that need a reasonable amount of my time and talking with you directly, because to do that over coaching is quite difficult because of over Instagram Live, because of the amount of info that's needed in that subject. Is acceptance and not caring the same? Absolutely not. Acceptance is not agreement, one of my sayings. Acceptance is not agreement. I accept any politician in the world, whoever they are. I accept them as a human being. I might dislike their policies, but I accept them as a human being. I accept people that commit murders. I accept them as a human being, as a function, as a fallible human being. I accept them as a human. I can see they're a human. They function as a human. That's all we know that they are supposed to do, floating on this rock through outer space. Cells that make up a human, living and functioning as a human. I accept them as a human being. Fallible humans that can make mistakes. I accept them. And I can see why that rationally, scientifically makes sense to accept the human being. I dislike the act. The act is a wrong act, but the human being I accept. Must I be diagnosed with OCD because my psychiatrist keeps saying I had GAD? You don't have to be diagnosed with OCD. You can if you want to. You can, a lot of people sort of have a rough idea for themselves and don't get diagnosed. I usually suggest it's best to get diagnosed. But not everyone is. Matt Carr, your situation is extremely common amongst people I work with OCD. See it all day, every day, for years. Thousands and thousands of people with what you're saying. I've had all the same fears as yours, exactly where I couldn't tell the difference between if they were real or not. Please come in for coaching with me, either in the group or one-to-one format. We will get under it. You're not any special case that's different. Everyone thinks theirs is real and it's not OCD and it feels so real you can't tell the difference. That's how it operates. To overcome OCD, you have to change your beliefs, even if they don't align with your values. Religion, being gay is not acceptable. You can usually get under there with uncertainty. Okay, you can usually get under there with uncertainty to some degree, as in but then you can still rationally apply it and keep your religion intact. Okay, you can do that, by showing yourself that religion is not being gay is not what you might choose, and it can be an act that you may even think you can still believe is a wrong act, right? And you dislike that act, but you still accept yourself even if you were gay. So you can say it's a wrong act, it's an act you don't like, but you still accept yourself. So we can still get under there, but it can be tricky when there is religion involved, because by definition, religion is an irrational belief, but we can still keep it intact so that we do not have to dispute it, to change the religion. We can leave that there, and usually we can come around that. Any more questions? Any more questions, guys? Anything on OCD? You can send me anything. I want to serve in the army, and I'm afraid that I'll be mentally ill and will suffer from schizophrenia or post-trauma. I wanted to serve in the army. The age of 16 to 18, I wanted to serve in the army. 100% set on that. I from the age of 14 to 18, I came from a sort of a weightlifting background. That was my whole life. And I went on a cruise with my family, and I shared the dinner table with the Navy SEAL at the time, and that was an inspiration for me. Although he was trying to put me off it, to be in the army and then sort of go all the way through that. And then I was developing OCD, and then I got scared because I thought, well, if I've got anxiety, I could be more susceptible to PTSD and so on. So I thought it's probably not the wisest choice. Now, do I have people in with me that have been in the army that have OCD? Yes. Do I have people with me that are really high up in the police and that are in sort of seriously dangerous conflicts all the time? Yes. Do they still operate with OCD? Yes. Does it interfere with their job? Not really once they get better. Do I have people that all different varieties of things like that? People who all different forms of life. People that regardless of the ethical position, but people that like hunting and so on, and shoot with guns and stuff like that, and they had a lot of OCD about it. What if I missed the deer and shot a human, or all different things like that, and we get under that, and so I wouldn't write off the army, but I would say it has to be taken into consideration. What if I was trying to save a person that caused them to die? I used to have all those, Matt. I used to, when I was younger, and there'd be a fight in the area, and I was out with friends, and then I thought, did I jump in quick enough to help them, or did I leave it a second? Then I'm a coward. Then I'll be ousted by society. It will always look for that all the time. What's your favourite weird thought you hear regularly? Favourite weird thought that I hear regularly? Favourite weird thought? What's favourite ones? Quite like the shower one, where people get in the shower just normally at home and then think the second they put the shampoo on their hair that someone's going to stab them in the back with a knife or an axe. And that's a common one. I always think that's, just how irrational that is quite funny. What other ones? HIV from nothing, like walking down the street, seeing a used condom and then being convinced that they've got HIV. That's a very common one as well. See that a lot. You're very, very welcome, Yamil. It's how do you pronounce your name? Yamlif, is that it? Yeah, you have. Yeah, don't worry, you're not alone. See it all the time. There's a great guy in one of the OCD groups that comes to us, comes to the video group calls each week, and he's in the SWAT team in the States, and he's got OCD. I see quite a few times people come to me in the police force that were around sort of pretty nasty sad situations, like maybe witnessing someone commit suicide right in front of them, or someone get killed in a nasty scenario, and then they've developed OCD or PTSD or something like that. Most of the time when they're coming to me, it's obviously for OCD. And so you see all those kind of situations, and see those guys carrying on in the police and and doing what they love, and it's they notice it come in, but it doesn't get a hold like that. So I mean, it depends how much you want to do something in life. If you really want to do something, and you're having help for things, and you get a balance, and it's not. It's not. It depends how high conflict the area is. There's a lot of factors that need to be weighed up, and thought about in the different situations, and so to take consideration of. I'm a police officer and got OCD, so Rob speaks the truth. Well, that's great. Good to there's an exact example of what I was talking about. Nice to meet you, Ibras. No, like really odd fear people have that you wouldn't think would be common. Really odd fear that I wouldn't think would be common. I don't really see that many that I think wouldn't be common these days. I see everything, and I see them all the time, over and over. So I never see anything where I think that's odd. Like I haven't seen that before, really. Not really. I can't think of many that strike me. Yeah, you'll like group. You'll like the groups. You guys, as long as you can put up with Wafrid trying to annoy me and the group with jokes all the time, which he's actually very good at. He's always in there. I have a suspected prostitute living next door. I'm finding condoms in my garden, and it's setting my OCD off. I don't know what to do. Well, that is a fact of life. In reality, there's going to be all these kinds of things. Now, tell me why it's setting your OCD off. Oh yeah, Sadie, pregnancy before you've even had sex is very, very common. You see that all the time. I see girls that are 18 years old that haven't had sex, pick up a bottle of cream in the bathroom and then think they've impregnated themselves. That's very common, and they just used it for their hands. Things like that. The OCD will jump and create all kinds of leaps. If anyone wants to talk, I feel so lost with my OCD. DM me, I feel like I need to talk and nobody understands. Well, the best thing to do is not to talk to sort of endless people on social media about your OCD when you're feeling lost. Best thing to do is to get in contact. Can help you with your problems. Sure that see them all the time, and we can help get under that. Come into the group or the one-to-one. Often it's great to have support around you, other people that have got OCD, that's good, but we do have to be careful that we don't get into a form of reassurance, checking with people, I've got this, have you got that, which is what forums used to be for ages. Someone would start a thread, they'd mention something, and within 2 minutes everyone else had said what they'd got, and the original person's question had been kind of ignored. So we have to be careful of reassurance, but I can assure you that you definitely will not be alone. I'm sure we've heard every single thing you're thinking of over and over many times before. What is the difference between one-to-one and group besides length of session? Well, there's a huge difference. In group, you've got a lot of people, so I can't specifically get into your individual problems. One-to-one is specific to you, setting homeworks tailored exactly to you. So there's a big difference in terms of the focus on you, and it's it's something that the group format has the great social aspect for enjoyment and feeling connection with other people that are going through similar to you, but the one-to-one is very specific to you, to getting you better. It's the most specific. But obviously I've got very few slots these days for one-to-one, the groups you can always get a slot in, but I haven't got that many slots for one-to-one these days. I will be moving to a sort of seminar format soon, where I'll be trying to be doing either online seminars or in person, so I can reach more people, because I'll definitely need to do that, because there's only one of me in what I do, in terms of I don't employ anyone else and pass people off to someone else. It's all done by me. Okay. Okay, any last questions, guys? Send them through. I mean, I'm not going to cut this Instagram live short because I think it's covering a lot of important points for people today. So anything you want to ask, do it. And I do enjoy doing all of these. It's a nice format. It's easy to reach people, and we can get through things. I feel like my OCD was made to help me build my personality. So many anxious situations and having to decide my values, sometimes just thoughts, look, I always think of OCD as like a sort of a level that I think I needed to go to, almost like a sort of training that I had to go to get through to the next level of my life, to have this level of awareness and being empowered from it. So it's very... it's important how you change your perception on things. Like, my perception is different on so many areas of my life. Like when I have, say for example, I was working very late recently. I was finishing a lot of hours a lot of calls to Australia and Canada, different time zones, and I didn't sleep that great a couple of nights, and I felt the old symptoms of like when I used to suffer from insomnia with OCD creeping back in. And then I realised actually that when I'm writing, because I spend a lot of time writing all these posts and things, and I'm doing this book, that I'm actually so much more creative when I'm really tired, when I haven't slept. It's just like, because it's almost, when I'm in that phase, although it might be slower, the way I can think creatively is different. And so I saw that as a benefit. And so if ever I haven't slept, I think, oh, great, I'm going to have that benefit of not being able to, of being able to be more creative. And that was a huge difference for me, because I used to look at that all the time as like the worst thing, like, oh my God, it's so bad for my health. I'm never going to get out of this cycle. It's going to be so terrible. And then underneath it, I found some great positives. So that's really important to think of. Can you dispute your own IBs? Absolutely, you can dispute your own irrational beliefs. If you couldn't dispute your own irrational beliefs, you wouldn't be able to get better. That's what you do. You dispute your own irrational beliefs. Yeah, of course, what Sadie's saying there, yes, you can do everything on your own, but it's difficult. It's difficult to get better from OCD on your own. Even if you read all the social media and this page and read the books, it's difficult, because what I do is help sort of fast track that by seeing exactly where you're going wrong, because you might not notice how you're coming at something, how you're looking at something, or how maybe you're trying to internally control things. Various things in there that might be causing a bit of a disturbance. I saw some extreme things I can never unsee. I have flash in my head. Any way to stop these? Are you scared of seeing these, Matt, for forever and ever, and having these horrible images? I used to get that one all the time, especially if someone had like shown me a horrible video or something. Then I would get those images, and I'd think, what if I can never get them out? I remember walking out of the cinema when I first saw and thinking I'm never going to get that out, and having panic attacks, and thinking I'd be being tortured by those images for the rest of my life. Thought I was going crazy. It was a horrible experience looking back. Okay, guys. I think that covers most of the points today that were on here. Great to have you all on here. I will see you on the next Instagram Lives. Try and get one up next week. The next topics to be covered are POCD. What ones that people asked for recently? POCD, I think some of the sexual related OCDs, other ones, suicide OCD. Those topics need to get them covered. I will do those. Yeah, I had images that I feel would go on forever in my head. Yeah, images going on forever is always how it tends to operate. Okay, guys, great to have you all here. I will see you at the next one. Take it easy. See you later.